Holland America has a standby program that's unique in the cruise industry. I've done 4 videos on it. We booked 2 of these trips, but Hal has wrecked the program. And today I'm advising everyone, don't do it. And I have the data to back it up. To understand why I say this, you have to understand how Hal has evolved the program from what appeared to be a beautiful thing to the mess that it is today, and what to look for in the future. I'll also give the 2 possible exceptions to my advice. Let's get to it. Let's start with where you'll find the information about this program. If you Google Holland America Standby Program, you'll find this page. And as you can see as I scroll down today, there are 112 cruises currently being offered as standby bookings. There's also a European standby program that will appear if your computer is logged in with an address in Europe. The page is seasonal, meaning that you can typically book cruises from 2 to 9 months out. All of the summer season trips show up around March, and their winter season trips show up about 6 months later. So what you see here is the winter schedule. The value proposition is given in the first sentence. Ready to embrace your sense of adventure for the chance at an unbeatable fare? Let's break that down just a little bit. Embracing your sense of adventure means that you pay up front for a cruise, not knowing if you'll actually get on the ship. If they can't find your room, they will refund your money. But there are very many caveats to that. Check out this video that I did if you want to know more of the details of that. Unbeatable fare means that in return for taking this chance, you get the best price for a stateroom. When we booked our 2 standby cruises about 6 months ago, this seemed like a reasonable trade-off. Our Alaska cruise showed savings of about 33% over the standard fare. Our longer transatlantic cruise showed almost 60% savings. We were excited. Then came the first cruise, and we were able to experience what sense of adventure really meant. First of all, there is 0 visibility into your status until 2 days before departure. You have no idea if you have any chance at a room, where you are in the line, nothing. By 2 days, we would discover that can mean any time within the day, which wreaks havoc with your planning on getting to the cruise port. In the meantime, you can't book any excursions or packages. That means that popular excursions will be full by the time you get there. And some discounted packages may not be available to you. And other kinds of discounts are also not available. Still, we thought the savings made it worth the risk. The ship was full. And in this case, we didn't get on. Our money was refunded quickly. Then in July, Hal changed the pricing. Up until this time, standby cruises were $49 for interior and $79 for balcony, plus taxes and fees, which varied with the cruise. A new law, which started in California, stated that cruise lines must show the final price inclusive of taxes. So, at that point, Hal had a choice. They could sell standby tickets with variable total prices, as they had done before, or they could stick with the 1 price per day approach, building a standard amount into all rates for port fees. They chose the latter. From my perspective, this killed the program, because they built into all of the rates the taxes and fees of the expensive itineraries. Alaska didn't change much, but suddenly trips with low port fees or a lot of sea days shot way up. I'll use our second standby cruise as an example. It involves a transatlantic with a lot of sea days. Under the old pricing, the cruise fare was about $5,000, $4,100 for 2 of us, $4,100 room charge, and about $900 in port fees. Under the new system, the price jumped to $8,300, a $3,300 difference for the 2 of us for the exact same standby status. But surely that's the extreme case, right? Actually, it's not. Before I tell you just how bad it is, let me invite you to like and subscribe to our channel. Our goal is to help you travel as far as you can while you still can, and while avoiding calamities like this one I'm about to tell you about. Thank you in advance. What I wanted to find out is if I booked a cruise today from this list, how much would I save over the current price if I booked a standby ticket? So I looked up all 112 prices just to find out. The results might shock you. First of all, there were 7 cruises that were sold out. So I couldn't do a comparison for those because a regular room isn't available. But what about the remainder? Are you ready for this? In 37% of the cases for cruises that are on this list right now, the standby rate is higher than the cheapest interior cabin. This means you actually pay to go through all this misery and then maybe don't get on the ship at all. Let me give you 3 examples. On the right-hand column, you'll see the cruise identifier. Number 1, Cruise U472. It's a 14-day sailing out of Boston ending in Fort Lauderdale. The standby price is just about $1,400 for 14 days. But you could book it today on Vacations to Go for $800. Old 467 is a Panama Canal trip in November. You can buy a ticket today for $230 less than the standby rate. K478 is a Mexican Riviera trip in December that's currently priced $320 under the standby rate. There are others, but you get the picture. So what happens if I add up all the pluses and minuses to these 105 sailings? On average, for these 105 sailings, a standby rate saved $82. Not $82 a day, $82 per cruise. As a good buddy of mine used to say, at that rate, the juice is not worth the squeeze. Now, there's definitely a timing aspect to this. The cruises that could be booked for less than standby rates were mostly ones that sail within 90 days. The ones where a standby would give savings are mostly more than 90 days out. What this tells me is that Hal is still following the tried and true cruise philosophy of discounting tickets to fill the ship at around the final payment date. But the key takeaway is that they're undercutting the standby fare, sometimes by a lot, and it should be the cheapest fare. To me, that makes the program practically worthless right now. I'm going to make 2 exceptions to my recommendation. The first is solo travelers. The standby program still doesn't charge a solo supplement. That means you automatically save 50% off the top for a standby fare. So it's the best deal out there for a solo traveler who's willing to put up with the hassle. In fact, I think they should change the name to the Solo Traveler Standby Program. The second exception is a port-intensive or holiday cruise that's going to sell out before 90 days, and you're willing to do the crawl over crushed glass routine to save money on this cruise. Now, you're going to have to evaluate each sailing in its own merit, because if it doesn't sell out, you're probably going to lose money with the standby fare. But it might be worth the trouble. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope Hal figures out how to fix the program so that it actually does have value now. I just released a report of our trip on the Queen Mary 2. In that video, shown here, I explained how the music on that ship might be just the ticket for Hal cruisers who miss Lincoln Center Stage. You can check it out here. Until next time, safe travels.